Have you ever struggled with taking time to revise, being motivated, and overall find it hard to get good grades? Then watch this video to see how to make the best revision timetable to end up changing that forever. Okay, so in this section, I'm just going to talk about a couple prep tips before, like what to do before you actually make your timetable. And if I sound a bit croaky, it's because I have a sore throat. There's normally 3 or 4 or 5 things that I do before I ever make a timetable, or just generally things that I think about, not necessarily even write down. And number 1 of that is to allocate a time for each activity. So roughly, I think about how much time I should allocate to each section. So for example, maybe an hour on revision, 30 minutes on dinner. But the problem with that is often people don't spend the exact amounts of time that they've allocated before every single time. So what you need to understand is tip number 2 is to be flexible. You shouldn't get bothered, let's say, when you haven't been able to do a task or when something else comes up in the way, because the importance of timetables is that they're not rigid and they're flexible for you to be able to do whatever else you have in the day, or some unexpected things that may come up. And then going on from being flexible, tip number 3 is not to get bothered when, for example, I didn't end up doing an activity, because it goes back to being flexible. Sometimes something would come up that I didn't expect and I didn't have time to do something that I really should have done. So I would just allocate it to the next day and then do it. So the first revision method I want to discuss with you guys is the prospective revision timetable. This revision timetable is the one you see always online. It's the colorful ones with like the highlighted areas, calligraphy, carefully measured boxes, and often it takes more time to make those types of timetables than actually doing proper revision. So yeah, that's what I don't recommend for that timetable. And as you'll see, I'm making one now, and you can see it takes forever to just see how to do the boxes, write the things down, and just add the different sections in. But maybe a pro of that might be for you guys who struggle to visualize things. It might be easier to visualize all the things you have to get done in a day. And the other thing I'd say is if you are going to make this type of timetable, don't make it like on paper or whatever. The best thing to do is go into like some sort of Word processor document, Notion, whatever, Word, Google Drive, anything like that, and go in and make it there. So yeah, that's the prospective revision timetable, otherwise called the way too much highlighting one. And I'd give that like a 3 out of 10 for revision. I really recommend that you don't use this. There are 2 other methods that I'm going to talk about soon, and they're way better and definitely got me grades at GCSEs that were much higher than if I'd used the highlighted one. So now I'm going to talk about the retrospective revision timetable. So the retrospective revision timetable is a timetable that allows you to reflect on the work you've done previously. So what you do is you go through every day and then you write down the date of a session, what topic you did in that session, how you found it. I'll try and bring up a visualization on the screen now. I definitely use this for my GCSE mocks. I use this method and it worked out pretty well. It allowed me to like reflect on what I was doing, what was hard, what was easy, whatever. But I still wouldn't, for me, I'd say this was probably a 7 or 8 out of 10 method. It wasn't the one I use now for A-levels at all, but it is a really useful method if you guys want to get into it. But yeah, that's the retrospective revision timetable. As you can see, priorities, lists, tables, and you just reflect on what you're doing that week. So it definitely does help, and it's up to you, I guess, if you want to use that. I'd recommend it, but the next method I'm going to talk about is something I used and I found using much easier, and I still use it today, and it makes my life so much easier in A-levels as well. So the last type of revision timetable I want to talk to you guys about is the to-do list or sticky note method. This is the one I use, and it does sound kind of sporadic, but honestly it definitely isn't. I'm going to show you on the screen now, me going through my Notion and whatever, and it's really easy for me to do. It's exactly what I did in the GCSEs. It was super helpful and something that I've used like a smaller version of now in my day-to-day life for A-level. And essentially what I used was the to-do list method. Is I wrote down every date. Under those days, I catalogued whenever my exam was, I put like a marker for that. And then I have to-do lists. So what it was much easier for me to do. So I could allocate things more easily, move things around, and not be stressed that I have to spend this amount of time. And I'd say this type of revision timetable definitely helps if you're someone who's more organized and structured. So let's just say if you know you're going to do 2 hours of revision, you can write down the tasks for it already. So let's say you have to make some sort of flashcards for your revision, and you also want to do a past paper for biology, and you're doing flashcards for chemistry, something like that, for example. So how I would use the method is how I use it now. It was really easy. So I know I wanted to spend 2 hours on revision. I'd spend, let's say, an hour making flashcards and then an hour doing flashcards for another subject. So I'd say this method for me was definitely a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Still use it today. For other people, it might more be like a 6 or 7 out of 10. So that's why I wanted to discuss these 3 revision like timetables that I used across my GCSE career now into A-levels, and just wanted to show you guys the 3 different types that you can use it. So thanks so much for watching this video. I'm sorry it was a bit rushed, but that's all I really wanted to talk about with you guys this week, is the 3 types of revision methods and timetables that people use. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe. It would mean so much for the channel. We've been growing quite a bit since the last video, so I was really happy with that. So thanks so much for your support. And if you want to see any more videos or whatever from me relating to GCSEs, A-levels, mocks, then leave me a suggestion down below and I'll get back to you and hopefully make the video very soon. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys with a new video next week. Bye for now.